What's going on, everybody, man? Welcome back. So back again with another video. And in this video today, guys, I want to talk about, are women really the reason why,
The legendary
are women the reason why men fail? Or you just, you just bullshit and I don't know what I'm talking about. So in this video today, I'm going to be talking, I'm discussing about Shaka Zulu. And for those who don't know Shaka Zulu, he was he was ruthless, man. He made history. That's all I can say, right? And for those who know me, man, I love history. And when it comes to history, I love to pay attention. And just a quick backstory about me. See, I never used to love history, just like anybody out there. I'm not saying all people love history, but for me, it was an extreme. You know what I'm saying? I was never I always got bored. I always got bored watching history and, listening to, right? But it was around the age of, I think the age of 18 that I started, at the age of, I think even 20, something like that. I started to love history, man, because, I looked for, inside me, I've always had, I've always had something, I've always had this feeling of, just being better, and because of that, I was curious to learn about things that I didn't know. And like they always say, curiosity is the mother of everything. You could never produce anything in your life if you're not curious. So you got to be curious about things, about life. You have to be, you know, in order for you to talk to that woman, you got to be curious about her. What is she? Who is she? What's up with her? You know what I'm saying? In order to be able to create something, to invent something, you got to be curious. So that's the power of curiosity, right? And I'll talk about that, in a short video. But in this video today, I want to talk about Shaka Zulu and what we can learn from him. Like, his rise and his fall. Like, is it his fault or the fault of a woman? A woman as his mother. Like, is it him or was the fault of his mother? Right? Because we're going to learn through his rise, how he rose up and how he died, and how he rose, how he conquered, and how he died. Right? So I want you guys to stay with me. I want you guys to roll with me, and let's dive into this shit. Let's break it down like it never been broken, man.
warrior king Shaka of the Zulus transformed a small and insignificant tribe into one of the largest empires in Africa, smashing his rivals and incorporating their lands and people within his ever-expanding borders as his formidable armies carved a bloody path across southern Africa. However, the feared, respected, and loved man, whose meteoric rise had for so long seemed unstoppable.
Feared and respected man, right? Now, I speak about this because, see, you want to be, I always say that, man, you don't want to, you really shouldn't focus on love that much, because love, see, men, we give love, right? We don't expect love. I don't sit here expecting my grandma to love him, but I love my grandma daily, right? Like, I give her love, but I don't expect her to give me that. Or I expect her from her, though. I expect her to respect me. You know what I'm saying? I expect her to see what I'm trying to do and let me do it respectfully and not try to be in my business. You know what I'm saying? Because once she tried to come and tell me things and tell me what to be and tell me what to do and tell me how to do my things and tell me how to run my life, then that's how the problem comes in. Now, I'm not saying that you cannot take advice from people, right? Of course I listen to her. When she talks, of course I listen. But I'm saying that there is a difference between somebody, like giving you a peace of mind versus somebody telling you what to do, right? And for me, even when I was a kid, it was always hard for me. I've always found trouble when niggas told me what to do, right? It was like I've always found it hard, people telling me what to do, right? Because if, for example, they tell me what to do and then I did it and it failed, I always blame those people. And every time I blame those people, my mom used to give me a whooping because she's like, why did you do it? What didn't you think before doing it? So I grew up being like that guy that I'm just like, you know what? Don't try to tell me what to do, because if you tell me what to do, I'ma put my cross on your head, right? I'ma put my cross on your back, and dare not to let me down, because once you let me down, it's sure that I'm gonna attack, right? But whenever I do things of my own, of my doing, and then I mess that up, guess what happens? I'm chilling. I'm like, look, I did this, and then it didn't work out. That's all, and that's where the story ends. But every time somebody tells me what to do and then I do it, things always happen, right? Now, I'm not saying that I don't listen to people or I don't take advice. You should always take advice. But you got to be able to understand, am I taking the advice, or this guy is only telling me what to do with my life? You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
Would ultimately be betrayed and butchered by his own brothers. His life.
Now, betrayal, because again, they're telling you exactly, right, from young, and then, how he got betrayed and then, killed by his brother. Now, we're going to go through that. They're going to show us how it all went down, right, guys? So,
lifeless corpse unceremoniously discarded into an unmarked grave. Yet how could the strategic mastermind who became known as Africa's Napoleon fall so far so quickly? This remarkable man who would rise to wield almost godlike power came from the humblest of beginnings indeed. Born these...
Let's stop right there. Humblest beginning. See guys, I always say I've read history, and I keep reading history because there is more than you can imagine out there. And I came to realize that men who actually made history in this world, like men who became legends in history, they were never rich. Like nothing was given to them, right? If anything, they had to make that thing by themselves. So they had to build up their life. Like they were never born with beautiful life. They were never born with easy life. Like their life was always hard. Their life was always challenging. It was always like interesting, basically. You know what I'm saying? Because they were always challenges to overcome. There were always setbacks to overcome, right? So you as an individual that is watching me right now, why would you want something easy? Why would you want comfort? Why would you feel bad, if, I don't know, if your mom kicks you out, right? Why would you feel bad because guys, remember, we're living in a period of time whereby, like, I don't care even if you sleep on the street, you're not gonna die. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're living in meaning no dog is going to come and bite you. There is no cyber tooth that's going to come and tear you apart. There is no other tribe that are going to come and find you and, kill you or even eat you. Because, there used to be some tribe that used to eat other people. You know what I'm saying? There is none of that. So you're more safe that our ancestors and our grands and grand have ever been. So you're safe. Right? So why is it that you want something comfort? Why is it that you want comfortable? Oh, I know why. Well, that's because when you was born you had nothing to push you. You never had your back against the wall. And when I say back against the wall, that means that everything is going bad. You know what I'm saying? And now your primal instinct got kick in. You know what I'm saying? Because otherwise you're gonna just die, because those who never had a strong will always died, but those who had a strong will to survive always managed to survive. And that's who we talk about today. They managed to write their own history. So you want to write your own history. Shaka Zulu lived this life and he wrote his own history. Because remember, every time you're living, every time you wake up every morning and you're breathing and you're talking to people, you're writing a history. Now, some history, they stick, and some history, they are always forgotten, and nobody even want to care about those. So which story is yours going to be?
Son of a minor chieftain, what could have been a comfortable childhood of privilege and plenty would instead be transformed into a nightmarish curse of rejection and shame.
So, again, Shaka was born, like, he was born like his father was a chief, right? So his father has some money, they have something. But for Shaka and his mother, it was never like that. Shaka and his mother was never like that. Even though his father has something, but he never wanted them around. So yes, you might say, yeah, he has something, but that's even worse. It's like, your pops is sitting on billions and billions, but your pops can't even give you a dime. That's how, like, that's not only is it gonna, like, I'd rather you have nothing, nor your father have nothing. That way your mind cannot be dependent. But see, when your mind is dependent on something, when your mind is dependent on, I don't know, like something from the outside coming to save you, that's how, not only does it kills your drive, it kills your will to want to be something, because you're waiting on something, you're waiting on some help from somewhere, right? So your will dies. But see, when you don't have a thing, and your pops don't got nothing, you don't have nothing, you enter into this state of world whereby you understand and that you gotta survive, right? So Shaka was born, his father has some little something, but he got, like, him and his mom, they got kicked out.
Shaka's very existence considered a sin by his tribe due to being born out of wedlock. Caving to pressure from the tribe, at just 6 years of age, Shaka and his mother were exiled by his father, driven out.
So Shaka and his mother, they were exiled, and as you've heard, like, the reason Shaka got exiled because he was perceived as different from the other, right? And not different as in like like God mocked him or anything, but it's just that his tribe, they just could not consider him. You know what I'm saying? So, and things like that, it happened so many times, not just in Africa, but even back in the day. There were always some people that were always rejected by their own kind. So when your own kind rejected you, you had to get out. You had to be kicked out, and you had to be exiled. And as for for everybody who know what is exile basically it's an isolation. It's like a prison you get sent to, right? But in that prison, it's like some they send them on the island, some they send them on the wilderness, like Shaka Zulu. And for those who don't know, the wilderness, it's a very jungleistic, like crazy, like weird, like outside of people environment, whereby you living with animals. You're not just living with animal, but your entourage is like, it's like all kinds of shit, snakes, bees, mosquitoes, and right. You living in a jungle. You're not living as people. So Shaka got exiled, and Shaka and his mother, they got exiled, and then they got picked by another tribe, right? But another tribe did not treat them as good neither, right? Because no tribe is going to treat you better.
Into the harsh wilderness to fend for themselves. However, despite being taken in by a local chief by the name of Dingy Swayo, the disgraced mother and son suffered at the hands of their adopted tribe. The mother despised and shunned, Shaka teased and tormented by the other boys, forced to endure years of harassment and neglect. His only refuge.
So Shaka was tormented, he was teased, he was shunned, he was, like shone upon, and all kinds of bad shit. But these people doing this, they didn't know that actually they were forming something. Because guys, I want you to know that, see, when I talk about strength, I don't just talk about physical strength. Now, you want to be able to, obviously, logically, you want to be able to carry something. You want to be able, if somebody falls into something, you want to be able to pull them out, and it takes strength for you to do that, right? Functional strength. I'm not just talking about you being big and you can't move a muscle because your muscle is just too big for no reason. I'm talking about functional strength, right? So that is good. You want to be strong. You want to be strong, right? But see, when you're only strong physical, right? But your personality, like mental, which everything starts here, guys. Everything starts in your head, right? Your spirit, everything is like your true strength. Like I said from the previous slide that I did, your true strength These are strength that cannot be touched. It can't be seen. Just like God, you cannot see God or Allah. You cannot see God. You cannot touch God, but you can feel God. You know, some people, they'll tell you like, man, I felt this spirit, man. I felt him, man. I felt him. And you might ask him like, how did he feel? He can't explain. Why? Because you cannot see with your own true, like your naked eyes can't see. So, and that's the true strength. See, and that's true. That strength is not built by, you know, going to the gym. You know, some people say like, you know, when you go to the gym, you build mental toughness. That's a lie. When you go to the gym, the only thing you build is what? The only thing you build to the gym when you go to the gym is the muscle, right? That's the only thing you do. It's the muscle. But this true divine strength that I'm talking about, these are strength that you build through hardship. You build these things through, like, things that could break other people. That's what builds you. So Shaka Zulu was being pushed around. He didn't commit suicide because he could have, right? It is through he went through many stuff with his mom. We went through things that he could have had many reasons to take his life. I mean, think about it. His own father kicked him out, you know. He got picked up by another tribe, and then, you know, his father kicked him out. He got exiled, you know. He started living with in the wilderness, and, you know, trying to survive and trying so hard to survive. And then after then, he got captured by another tribe. And even during that tribe, when he got captured, you know, him and his mother, they were treated harshly, and they were treated, shunned and tortured, and, you know, they were treated like an outcast. These are the things that made, if you think about it, these are the things that gave Shaka Zulu strength, right? And me, I always say, see, some things is either in you or not. Because, see, the same pain that Shaka Zulu went through, they could have been the same guy with the same age, with the same... Because Shaka Zulu was not a god. He was a man. He was just like anybody, right? But the same thing that somebody went through, if your spirit is weak, either you're going to kill yourself or you're going to die hopelessly. But what did Shaka Zulu do?
Refuge his mother, the two developing a uniquely powerful bond due to the...
He held into that and he became stronger. And like this guy just said, it is those things that they went through, it is those troubles and tribulation that they went through that it made them stronger, right? Like I always say, that somebody that you go through hard stuff with, somebody that you both drink the same poison, it built this connection that only words cannot tell. Only good time cannot tell. See, good time is okay, but hard time, and somebody stick with you during a hard time, or you stick with him during a hard time, relationships like those, they tend to last because you guys share the same, like, he became you, you became him, you guys became one. And even if it's a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter. You know, you guys become one. If anything, you guys become brothers. If anything, you guys become like, it's like an initiation. It's like a ritual, right? Like a holy ritual that happens, you know, when trouble and tribulation presents themselves, but two people stick and hold each other down, it is very hard to be separated. And when I say trial and tribulation, I mean crazy goddamn stuff that can happen. You know what I'm saying? That's what creates and builds strong relationship.
The shared torment and trauma. Despite this, Shaka refused to be broken, finding comfort from the harsh reality he inhabited by training for war.
Right? So regardless, despite all the, you know, bad things, going through crazy and, you know, being kicked around, being treated miserably and badly, he didn't give up. He didn't go soft. You know, he held his spirit high and he trained. Remember, he was young and he still trained because he understood, like, hey, I need to stay fit. I need to train. You know, I don't know if this day is going to end, but I know for a fact that I will be something in this life. right? And he was ambitious. He was ambitious. So see, when you're ambitious, when you're a very ambitious person, right? Troubles, this thing, they don't hold you back because you only believe in one thing, and that one thing that you believe in is as long as you're still breathing, you're gonna make it through life. You know what I'm saying? And that's why even though Shaka faced whatever he faced, he was not able to give up on himself. That's why you see he trained. That's why you see he started military. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because inside him, his spirit was still strong. See, the body can get shattered. The spirit can get, no, the body can get shattered. Everything can be taken away from you. But the thing that cannot be touched, which is the unseen, which is the pure core strength that I actually talk about, the thing that is unseen, the strength that is unseen, and the spirit, those are the things that gonna get you smiling and pushing. Meaning people can look at you and be like, yo, this kid it's like it's untouchable. No, your body has been touched. It's just that your spirit hasn't been touched. Why? Because your spirit is this strong. You know what I'm saying?
Developing martial.
But when your spirit is weak, at the first glance of setbacks, at the first glance of trouble, you give up. The first glance of trouble, you kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because your spirit is just weak. And guys, I said it and I say it again. If you wanna get stronger, don't put all your focus on the physique. You know what I'm saying? Don't just put, because somebody whose spirit is stronger than yours can actually kill you. Even if you have muscles and you have all the physical power, can't take your life. You know what I'm saying?
Skills that Chief Dingy Swayo quickly recognized, enlisting Shaka into his army, where he served with distinction, displaying a natural aptitude for military strategy coupled with chilling ruthlessness, a cold-blooded personality most likely forged by his suffering as a child.
You know what I'm saying? So, with what he went through, with the things, the tribulation, the ABCs that, happened to him, it was a fuel. It was this is what made Shaka Zulu the person that he became, right? Ruthless, feared, and intelligent, right? Why? Because he gained experience through living. He gained experience. He gained strength. Like I said, he gained strength through what he was living in. You know what I'm saying?
When Shaka's father died in 1816, Chief Dingy Swayo offered his support, helping Shaka assassinate his older brother, who had already assumed the role of chief, and seize control of the Zulu clan, serving as Dingy Swayo's vassal in return. Using his already ample military experience, Shaka wasted no time in transforming the minor Zulus into a force to be reckoned with, force that would obey his command alone. Initially numbering fewer than 1,500, the Zulu...
And guys, when somebody speak of a force, they mean that Shaka, he came from being just like a regular, chief commander, like a regular, like a general, to actually being something that was only... He became a story that people started telling about, he became a tale. He became a story that people started telling. You know what I'm saying? So he came from being just a human to being a force. So that's why some people thought he was a god, right? But the transition that he came from, guys, you know how he became to become the god that he became, right? It was not easy. That's why I always say, guys, don't look for comfort. Don't focus on being comfortable. Instead, focus on growth. Focus on inner strength.
The smallest of some 800 clans in the region. However, under Shaka's stern and competent leadership, they would quickly grow into Southern Africa's preeminent power.
Now you see this? This is what I mean when a country or city has a stronger president, like a leader, a strong somebody to lead. See, not only does himself grow, but also everybody else grow, right? See, if Shaka was weak, because he had small military, they could have got overpowered and maybe killed, and that could have been the end of them. But because Shaka was a strategist, and also he had strength and he knew what he was doing, right? And people trusted him, because again, you need to trust your leader, right? He was able to thrive, to make them become more numerous, right? He knew what he was doing. See, that's why even a woman, and I know I'm not here to talk about women in this, not at least in this one, but nobody, man or children or anybody or even friends, nobody will follow something that don't know where they're going. And those who follow that which doesn't know where it's going, they come to ruin. Either they come to chaos, meaning there is nothing but chaos into that state of governance, or it just collapses and dies, which will happen to Saka, because he got weak, somehow he got soft.
One of the keys to Shaka's stunning success was his total reorganization of the Zulu way of life, as he set about building a society that thrived on constant, unending war and bloodshed.
Alright, so you see, even with constant, unending war, Shaka was able to guide his people through, because again, he knew what he was doing. And as you guys just heard what he said, Shaka was organized, right? See, any leader had to be organized.
Traditionally, battles in the region had been relatively bloodless affairs and focused on driving the enemy from the field rather than outright slaughtering them, where the side with smaller numbers would usually be intimidated into yielding before any significant casualties were inflicted. However, under Shaka, the combat focus shifted from intimidation to outright extermination of the enemy. The Zulu abandoned the traditional throwing spear in favor of a short-handled, stabbing weapon with a long blade that forced his men to engage the enemy at close quarters, batting the enemy's shield aside with their own oxhide shields before plunging their blades into the now vulnerable foe's chest. Regiments or impis were organized by age group, the men quartered in separate villages and forbidden to take wives until they had proven themselves in battle, motivating them to fight with all they had, lest...
You know what I'm saying? So, the soldiers of Shaka Zulu were, they were forbidden to take wives before war, or they were forbidden to earn anything good until they finished, right, the task that was ahead of them. And this was done so that they couldn't be distracted, right? And this was done. So why is it that men today, you rather run after that woman instead of actually building and becoming and conquering yourself? Because that is what the attention of today's boys are. It is nothing but women. Now, I'm not saying you cannot deal with women. I'm just saying that, enjoy them, but have something to focus on in life. Learn how to grow, learn how to build, because that woman, she wants you to grow. She don't want you to focus on her 24 hours. So all those distractions, all these things, it only stops you. It starts your growth. And again, guys, like I'm saying, I'm not saying you should isolate yourself from women. By all means, you should have fun and be around women, but don't let that become don't let that eat your mind to the point whereby you cannot really focus and it becomes your life.
They remain alone and childless. Soldiers were forced to go barefoot at all times to toughen their feet and thus make them swifter in combat, while the boys deemed too young to fight took on the burden of carrying the older warriors' supplies, allowing the impis to march at a far greater pace than their enemies. An impi could cover an astonishing 50 miles per day, replenishing their supplies by taking what they need from any villagers unfortunate enough to be in their path. In battle, the standard tactic was to divide the army into 4 groups. The strongest warriors were placed in what was known as the chest, moving forward to pin the enemy down, while 2 other groups known as the horns dashed around the flanks to encircle the enemy army and attack from the rear. The 4th group was known as the loins, a reserve that could be sent to reinforce any part of the encirclement if the enemy was close to breaking free. The entire maneuver overseen by officers using hand signals to direct their men into the right place at the right time. The glue that held this new war-centered society together was Shaka himself and the iron discipline he imposed upon every Zulu.
Iron discipline. Iron discipline.
The slightest opposition or disobedience was punished with instant death. King Shaka willing.
Right. So, again, because Shaka, he knew what he wanted for his people, and he knew he knew that, hey, this was the right thing for people to be and to do. Any obedience that occurred in anybody that obeyed, he was put to death. Because again, like I always say, either somebody is, helping you, or they're just a vice. Meaning that they only just, because guys, look, we all know that human beings, we all want to grow, I wouldn't want to be around somebody is not helping me grow, or I'm not helping me grow. So what's the use of me just being somebody that whereby we have to argue, I'm like, hey, look, do this, and they're like, nah, why are you telling me what to do and why are you telling me what to be? Why would I want to be around somebody like that? It wouldn't make sense to me. Alright? That's why Shaka, he had to kill anybody who was disobedient. Because see, when you're disobedient, what you do is you affect other people. Right? Oh, wait, give me a second.
Willing to wipe out entire villages of his own people to send a message to those who might consider betraying him. Soldiers?
Right? So, again, he was ruthless, right? He was ruthless, and he wiped out the entire village. So he wasn't playing. Just to send a message about somebody who will consider crossing it, right? Now that things like that, it tells you the type of man he was. Because again, like I said, the guy who he was, these are things he learned when he was growing. Like these are things that happened to him, and he saw the world for what it was, not the illusion that he was probably given.
Who hesitated in combat or received wounds to their back were swiftly executed after the battle, while any...
So people who refused and were hesitant in a battle, hesitant to kill, they received stripes, bear down, and they had their wife and children killed. Now this was a coward, so those people basically hesitant and fear, like that was a cowardness, right? And even if you read history, people, I want you to do all the digging you want to do. You come to realize that in history, the only history that cowardness is being celebrated is this history, that this generation that we're living in. But you can go to Indian history, you can go to African, you can go to Greece, you can go to Persian, you can go to Somalians, you can go to whatever you want to go to. You understand that no coward was respected, and no coward was seen as anything. Like cowardness was never cowardness was a shame, was a deadly sin basically, right? Because if you was a coward, for example, the Greek, if you was a coward in battle, and then you come back home, or the battle was going on, and then you chose to run, you was gonna pay tax, until the day you die, and not just you, but also your children, right? And if I was a child and you like 50 years old, and then I come and you sitting, I tell you what to do. I tell you to stand up so you can sit down, so I can sit on the chair. You was not supposed to eat this. You were nothing when you was a coward. But today what we do, we celebrate cowardness. We celebrate people being cowards, right? And reason why is that? Because again, there is no serious anything that can happen to these people. Even you being a coward, doing some coward shit, nothing is gonna happen to you. But these people, they knew, hey, if I'm being a coward, is gonna cost me. Now imagine if you put the same discipline on yourself, the same discipline of saying hey, look, every time I say I'm gonna do something and I don't do it, I have to be able to punish myself. man, I promise you, you're gonna be the baddest. You're gonna outdo and outbe most people. You're gonna be stronger than most people because most people today, they're nothing but people that celebrate being a coward.
Any regiment which suffered defeat of any kind would return home to find their wives and children beaten to death before meeting the same fate. Such merciless enforcement of discipline meant that Shaka's armies never ran away from a fight and were rarely defeated, preferring to stand and fight to the end than go home and face their king's wrath. In fact, even
think
the
about
Zulu...
right? Would you rather, because knowing you're gonna die anyway if you run, would you rather go back home and find your kids and wife killed, or you stay on a battle, your wife and children gonna leave? And you might survive, or you might not survive, but the fact that you stayed on a battle and you fought, your kids and wife are going to survive. Most people chose staying at the battle. And that's why, as he said, Shaka and his army, they were able to win. Why? Because whatever decision he chose, that what was made. Because he was a man, you know what I'm saying? He had balls, you know, he had balls to say something, and he was respected because he had balls.
The capital city was called Bulawayo, meaning the place where they are killed, a name which clearly sets the tone of Shaka's leadership style.
Right.
When his overlord, Chief Dingiswayo, was assassinated, the last obstacle in Shaka's path was removed. After incorporating Dingiswayo's tribe into the Zulu, his relentless impis scoured the land of all opposition, smashing the ancient network of clans that had settled southern Africa, assimilating all surviving enemy warriors into his own armies. As each clan fell, King Shaka grew ever stronger. The ranks of his armies swelled by the subjugated remains of his previous foes. War against the Zulu meant either victory or annihilation. There could be no compromise or ceasefire. Shaka would be the...
You know what I'm saying? So, war with the Shaka or with the Zulu, Shaka Zulu, it meant either, right, victory, either your ops, they win, or they get annihilated. And that meant that they get completely erased. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, not even their bones can be seen. You know what I'm saying? So, those who picked fight with them, they knew. They're like, hey, look, either we're going to win, or not just am I going to get killed, but also, man.
The undisputed king, or nothing at all. Yet such rapid expansion would inflict an immense human cost. Within a matter of years, Shaka had amassed an army of over 50,000 warriors and wiped out all significant opposition, leaving large areas of southern Africa a depopulated...
How sweet is that? So Shaka was untouchable, right? He was intelligent, he was strong, he had everything that a leader needed to have, right?
Stand as the terrified...
He had spirit. But let's keep on going.
Survivors of his conquests fled inland. Known as the Crushing, this tidal wave of refugees would unleash more death and destruction than any of Shaka's armies, as the defeated remnants of the Zulu's enemies turned on other weaker tribes in a desperate effort to carve out a new homeland, causing a deadly chain reaction.
You know what I'm saying? So Shaka was able to... Those who came to fight Shaka, they were running for their life, and they were forced to fight other tribes, so at least they can find a way to, like, to have a space, like a land at least, because they were running away from Shaka. So they trying so hard to, you know, to not, like, to go far away, so they fight, so they can never run or cross into Shaka's path again.
Of minor wars as uprooted tribes attacked and displaced their own neighbours, who in turn inflicted the same fate upon their own neighbours. This deadly cycle of violence and upheaval utterly devastated southern Africa, leaving as many as 2 million dead from war, disease and famine, yet the suffering of the defeated was of little concern to King Shaka. By 1827, Shaka was at the height of his power, the godlike king able to field 50,000 fanatically loyal warriors to protect and expand the empire of 200,000 square...
And after this, I'm gonna tell you guys one thing that you need to understand, and one thing that you should know, and one thing that I actually noticed you know, with histories and with myth, with Greek mythology, with all this beautiful thing, beautiful piece that of the past that we're getting exposed to today.
Square miles containing over 250,000 people that now lay under his sole control. He seemed unstoppable, however all things must come to an end.
Right? So with all these things, with all the glory, with all the power, with everything he had, just like Samson, there comes an end to anything.
All men, no matter.
But how do you want to end though? That's a question you gotta ask yourself. And how do you come to that end?
How mighty are eventually undone. Although Shaka's tyrannical behavior and brutal, ruthless treatment of his own subjects had made him many bitter enemies, none had the courage to act against the invincible king. However, everything changed in 1827.
Right? So because you're right, he was respected and feared. People loved him and also feared him, right? But like, see, I just to, you know, to run a little back, I'm not saying you have to be just like Shaka, you know. I'm just saying that pick what is perfect, because again, with a man like Shaka, you cannot live like that right now. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself either in prison or just dead or something, right? So you just have to be smart, right? Shaka lived the way he lived, right, because of the environment. Now, if you was around his time, then being like him, it could have been a great advantage for you, right? But right now, I wanted us to learn about him, because you want to know, you need to understand what it takes to be a man and what it takes to bring a man down, basically. Because it's only through knowing what will bring you down that you can actually be something and stand your ground.
When Shaka's mother suddenly died, changed in 18...
We come from being on top, right? And then your mother died, right? So your mother, somebody you shared everything. You shared goodness, you shared beauty, you shared sorrow, you shared everything with. She died. What happened?
27. When Shaka's mother suddenly died. The passing of the woman whom had been the only constant throughout his life seemed to shatter the king's mind, and overcome by grief.
Right? Check this, right? You see what the guy just said? Right, let's run it back. I want you to picture something, right?
Suddenly died. The passing of the woman whom had been the only constant throughout his life seemed to shatter the king's mind.
The king's mind, right? The king's mind. Everything was well when his mind was steady, you know, when his mind was settled. But once the devil knew something that, you know, knew Shaka, what did he do? He attacked his mind. And what do I always say? Your strength, your true strength, cannot be seen, cannot be touched, but it can be felt.
And overcome by grief, Shaka seemed to lose all grip on reality and reason.
So, see, once his mom died, he lost grip on reality and on his own reasoning. So he lost his mind, basically. And what happens when men lose mind? Like what happened when a true man loses mind? What happened when Samson lost his mind on Delilah? He died.
Driven mad by the loss of the woman who had provided him comfort during those difficult childhood years as an outcast, Shaka turned on his own people, unleashing a bizarre and insane forced period of mourning that threatened to destroy everything he had worked so hard to build.
Right? So imagine, you are the man that is not being conquered. Nobody can conquer you. You're literally on the top of the food chain. And your own mind is eating your own self. So meaning like Shaka had to face Shaka in the mirror. But obviously back then they didn't have no mirror. But like Shaka had to face Shaka in his own mind. Right? Because even though he was strong, even though he was, right, this guy, this untouchable, but once nature, you know, touched his mind, he was done. Because in the mind, he was, like, yes, he was all of that, but he had a weakness. And that weakness is what led to his demise.
Anyone deemed to not be displaying a sufficient level of public grief was put to death.
right? So you see like everybody, right? Like when after his mother died, he wanted everybody to grieve. He wanted everybody to cry, and everybody like he was forcing. So now that's where I'm saying that. See, you have to be stronger, right, than your mind. You have to be stronger than. You have to just be stronger than anything else, because otherwise things like that will happen. Because see, once he got soft, like once his mom died, right? He wasn't thinking straight. Like he lost his mind, and when he lost his mind, he killed people. He killed his own people, the people that were protecting him, the people that were there for him. He became sort of like Scarface, if you watched Tony Montana, right? He was so much like mentally he was not there that he killed his right man, and then when his enemy came, he was by himself. So Shaka 3 was the same fate, right? He got like his mind, he lost his mind, and then after losing his mind, boom, this happened.
And it's estimated that some 7,000 Zulu were massacred by the vengeful and unhinged Shaka, as a psychotic atmosphere descended upon the land, where people were forced to mourn a woman they had never even seen for fear of the consequences from her deranged son. Those who had mistreated his mother in years gone by were hunted down and slain in a fit of rage, and Shaka began to see enemies and traitors hiding in every shadow, as a wave of indiscriminate killings washed over the land.
So he wasn't thinking he wasn't thinking straight no more. He was never the Shaka that was all put together and organized. He became disorganized. His mindset, he lost his mind. And when he lost his mind, he became weak, right? Like weakness overpowered him. And what happens when you're weak? You can't think straight. You're overly emotional, which he was. Your senses are hyped, and you outrageous. You just crazy. You just want to do anything that you feel because that's how you're feeling at that moment. But you don't know that how you're feeling is going to lead to your destruction, right? So Shaka lost his mind. And once he lost his mind, he started killing his own kind. And the reason he was killing his own kind, not because they disobeyed him, but just because they were not mourning like he was. They were not grieving like he was grieving for his mother, right? So basically, he was out of reality. He lost a grip over reality.
The Broken King demanded that for an entire year, no crops could be planted and no milk could be used.
How will people survive, right? How will people survive if no crops, and these are many people, no crops, no nothing should be there, no animals should be slaughtered. But he demanded this. He gave orders so people had to not plant anything. I mean, think, right? See, that's the devil playing a trick if you want to think about, because in the right mind, you would say, like, what kind of a king, like, what happened to this guy? Because people gotta eat, right? And you knew from the start that the reason why most people died is because of famine and, anger, like people. So you knew. But then you're the same guy that's telling people not to grow crops, not to hunt animals, not to do nothing, right? But just weep and, cry for your mother.
Outlawing the production of the two main sources of food consumed by his people, a decree which would create a famine that would kill large swathes of the population.
So he killed his own kind through his own emotions. He became an emotional bat, you know what I'm saying?
He was outlawed during the grieving year, and any woman who conceived was immediately put to death along with her husband.
So he unleashed his anger, his grief, his emotions to his people. Like he became like a spoiled kid, the kid that is spoiled, and then his father's like, nah, not today. And the kid start breaking everything, start breaking chairs, start breaking TVs. The kid become very uncontrollable. He becomes so emotional. Shaka Zulu became that, but why? Because he lost his mind, right? He lost the strength of his mind. He was not really strong enough for his mandate.
With even pregnant cows slaughtered.
I mean, imagine. So, even the cows, pregnant women were killed, pregnant cows were slaughtered as well. And all of this senseless killing was all because of his mother had died. So he was a mama's boy, which is something you don't want to be either way.
So that the calf would know the feeling of losing.
So he killed the mother of the calf so that the cow could feel his grief of losing the man.
A mother. Even his precious army would not be spared from the madness. The strength of his once proud impis wasted on pointless, lengthy military patrols that left his soldiers exhausted and mutinous. However, with the bulk of his armies sent to the far corners of the empire, for the first time in years, Shaka was left exposed and vulnerable.
Right? So his people, they started fearing, they started running for their life. He was left vulnerable. Man. And guess what happened when you're vulnerable? Guess what happens when you let the enemy in? What happened to Samson when he let the enemy in? Right?
Madness.
What happened to Samson when he got vulnerable? What happened to Samson when his mind got soft?
Unleashed by Shaka's grief was simply too much for the Zulu people to bear, and with their king in the process of destroying his own empire, those who had once feared and loved Shaka now turned against him, realizing that he had to be eliminated before his grief-born insanity reduced his people to ruin. With security lax at Shaka's royal quarters, two of his brothers approached, feigning a desire to offer their king tribute. However, they had already resolved to end their brother's life or die in the attempt. Accounts of what happened next vary, but it seems as though some kind of diversion was created, drawing Shaka's attention away from his brothers and providing them with the perfect opportunity to attack. Knowing full well that failure would mean their own painful deaths, along with the slaughter of their wives and children, the two men drew their blades and moved towards the man who had for so long utterly dominated the Zulu people, their hearts filled with terror and doubt. Could such a superhuman figure really be mortal? Undeterred and with a grim resolve, they plunged their blades into their brother's exposed flesh again and again, Shaka collapsing to the blood-soaked ground as a flurry of blows rained down upon him. The king was finally dead, the veil of madness that had settled upon the empire finally lifted. The corpse of the once great Zulu leader was unceremoniously dumped into an empty grain pit by his killers, his grave left unmarked and filled in with simple rocks and mud.
So he died like a dog, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like his enemy, which was his brother, they came in and they had to take him out. Before that, he was feared. Once he got soft, he was no longer.
Shaka gone, his half-brother and assassin Dingani took control, ruthlessly purging any remaining Shaka loyalists who might have rallied together and taken revenge for the fallen king, his power secured by yet more murder and blood. Shaka's downfall was complete. The insane and bizarre fall from grace he experienced following his mother's death, demonstrating that all men, no matter how mighty and unstoppable they might seem at their zenith, can be
Alright, so, guys, I'm telling you, man, being strong, it is necessary. And when you're weak, you will come to perish. Now, I'm not saying that when you're strong, you will never die. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, see, if Shaka did not lose his mind because of his mother, if he was not a mama's boy, and he understood, like, hey, I know my mom, she's dead, but my people has nothing to do with it. I love my mama, we share the same. Yes, I'm gonna grieve, I'm gonna do whatever, but I'm not gonna let that get to me. Shaka could have been. He could have continued living. You know what I'm saying? Today, maybe, I don't know. He could have maybe kept on living, right? He could have had descendants and children and grandchildren, right? but he got killed. He got, you know what I'm saying, he got soft, and when he got soft, he lost his mind because his mama died. That's why I said strength cannot be based on things that you can see or touch. See, his strength, even though he was strong, came from his mother. And once his mother died, a part of him died. So you don't want to be that. You don't want to be that, because if your mom is the reason why you're living and then she's dead, you're not going to keep on living because she was the reason of your existence. But when you live, because your strength is not coming on in this world, basically you're living like a god. If natural death don't catch you, man, you're gonna live happily, man. You're gonna live happily, and you're gonna live cool, because you're gonna be aware, you're gonna be awake, you're gonna be, you're not gonna be easily moved by the outside. Your people, your parents, your sweethearts, your things, your car, your whatever you have, you're not gonna be able to be moved by those things, because those things are now you. Your mom, she don't make you. Your mom, your woman, she don't make you. Your friends, they don't make you. The only thing that makes you, it is God, and it is you yourself. Alright, guys, so what I wanted to say, the take out of this video, guys, is that, see, strive to be strong, but the strength that I'm talking about is in here, your mind, your mental strength, the ability to not really be attached to things that in return will be able to destroy you. And the only way you can be strong, like mental and physical and mental and spiritual, because physical is very easy. All you gotta do is lift heavy stuff, throw heavy stuff, carry throw stuff, pull through heavy stuff, and you're gonna get strong. But when your spirit is weak, even a little baby, even a child, even your firstborn can be a distraction. What I've understood through history is that, see, man, even Greek mythology, for example, Zeus himself, Zeus did not start off being a god or whatever. It was a transaction. He started off being from underground, from running away from his father, to fighting his father and fighting the Titans, and then ascending and becoming the god that he was mythologically known for. So meaning that, see, challenges is your footstep. Challenges are like your elevator. These are like your stairs to heavens, right? These are like your stairs to your honor. But once you reach your heavenlyhood, once you reach your Mountain Olympus, you know what I'm saying? Don't get, don't become weakened by what is up there and then lose your mind. Because this is a great story for you to learn. This is something great story for you to learn, so that if you put your mind on the wrong thing, you're going to become your own destruction. Alright, guys, so again, I want to welcome everybody that has watched. Thank you for being here. Feel free to subscribe and like. And guys, it's always a pleasure. For those who don't know me, man, nice to meet you, man. Alright, nice to meet you guys. So again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you so much for watching and being here with me. God blessed. Stay wild.